Hello guys, thank you for tuning into my channel. My name is Anthony and I welcome each one of you who has taken your time today to plug into our channel. I hope that you're well and I hope that your day has been okay. It's my pleasure as always to record this video for you, and welcome to our today's session. So today I'd like to talk about leadership in our country, and I'd like to talk about the kind of leader that we want as the citizens of Kenya. I think it's very important, even as we are looking for leaders to lead us in this quest for better governance of our country. I think we need to have someone in mind. We need to have an idea of the kind of leader that we want to govern us as a country. Because if we do not have the picture of the leader that we want to come and govern us, then we are going to end up, as usual, just rooting for any leader who shows up as an option. We might end up rooting for any leader who shows up in the ballot, and we're going to end up with the same problems that we've been having in this country over and over, in that we are choosing leaders not because they are the best option, but because they are the option that is available. And so when it comes to the process of selecting the leaders that we want to govern us, we need to have a mental picture of the kind of leader that we want, to be in these positions of power. And at that juncture that each one of us has a leader in mind, then it becomes easier to identify the traits that you have identified with the characters of the people who are presenting themselves for office. And so today in this video, I'd just like us to go through what are some of the characters and qualities of the leaders that we want to choose in the upcoming or in the forthcoming election. I believe that we need leaders of integrity. That's primarily an important factor in this quest for leadership. We need leaders who maintain integrity. Integrity refers to the track record of that person when it comes to their dealings. We need to have people who have not been tainted with corruption. We need to have people who have not been tainted in scandals. We need to have people who have led a straight life. I know that people have their past, people have their mistakes, but we cannot ignore these things when it comes to choosing leaders. We need to look at the background of the leaders that we are electing into power, then see the things they have been involved in, and then we can weigh and see the weight of these things that they have been involved in. Because if we tend to ignore these things the way we've been doing, we're going to end up with leaders who have questionable moral standards. We are going to end up with leaders who have ethical issues. Now, because we did not do our due diligence before electing them, or we turned a blind eye to these things, when these leaders enter into power, they become something else, and you see the same cycle of oppression, the same cycle of greed and unethical conduct with public resources being repeated. And therefore, integrity is a very important part of the leaders that we want to choose. We need to have leaders who respect Chapter 6 of our Constitution, which majorly focuses on the conduct and the ethical behavior that the Constitution requires of those who are presenting themselves as leaders. And then number 2, which I think is the most important, we need a leader who follows the rule of law. And I will stay at this point for quite some time. I think the biggest problem we have in Kenya is we have leaders who do not follow the rule of law. We have leaders who do not regard the Constitution as of importance. And this might be because some of these people opposed even the implementation of the constitution. When we were having a referendum to bring in the constitution of Kenya 2010, some of the people that we have in power opposed it. And you see, when someone is opposing something, it means there is something in that constitution that they do not agree with, probably. So how then do you come and convince these people to implement something that they were opposed to? Okay, that not being said, we have to have leaders who respect the rule of law. Currently, we have leaders who only obey the law when it is convenient, and when it is not convenient, they choose to disobey it. There is something that is integral in the hearts of Kenyans, that we are ruled by the Constitution, because in the preamble it states, we the people, you see. So we the people decided to choose this Constitution, or to use it to guide the way we interact with each other and the way our country should be governed. So anyone who is entering in a place of authority, you are having donated authority from the citizens. So we the people are donating power to you, we are donating authority to you, so you can manage the resources on our behalf. So you can have policies and implement policies which make our lives better. So you are acting in a capacity that you are a steward on behalf of the people who have put you in power. So it's like a service to humanity role. So we need you to operate following the Constitution, following the rules that have been placed to govern your limits to what you can and what you cannot do. And we see that the leaders that we have had have not been the perfect or the best example when it comes to respecting the Constitution. And why is this dangerous? When you as a leader, when you as maybe member of parliament, when you as the police are not able to obey and follow the Constitution, then it becomes a bit tricky when you're trying to convince citizens to obey the same law. Or how then do you expect the citizenry to obey the laws that you yourself are not obedient to, that you yourself are not submitted to? The people usually learn from their leaders. People usually take a hint from their leaders. So a leader is placed in a position of elevated, or in an elevated position, so that they can be a mirror to society. You're supposed to display values and character that is admirable by the people, because you are the reflection of the values that should be cascaded down to society. So if you are a leader and you are in that place and you're not keen on observing the rule of the land, or you're not keen on following the Constitution, then what you are implicitly telling the citizens is that obeying the law is an optional thing. You can obey it when it suits you, and you can disagree or disobey it when it doesn't. And this is very dangerous, because when we start operating outside of the law, then it becomes very hard to govern a country, and this might bring about a case of lawlessness, and this is not good for any country. Therefore, we need leaders who obey the rule of law. Kenya has a lot of regulation. Kenya is regulated in every sector. I don't think there is a sector in this country that is not regulated. We have proper policies, we have rules, we have operating mechanisms within different organizations that are well structured, they are well laid out. But the problem that we have is we do not have compliant citizens or individuals. And therefore we do have to change this culture that people are not obeying laws, people are not obeying the Constitution. The Constitution is above everyone. No man is, above the Constitution. And therefore, if this consciousness is not drilled into our minds, then we have cases where some people feel they are above the law more than others. Therefore, it is important to choose leaders of integrity, choose leaders who obey the rule of law, and we have leaders who have a servant leader mentality. What does a servant leader mean? This is a leader who identifies with the suffering of the people. This is a leader who can articulate the problems of the people. This is a leader who has demonstrated prior to this that they have had the capacity to be of service to the community, and they have demonstrated the same. So we need to see a demonstration of leadership that is actually interested in alleviating the dire situations or the situation of the people. We need leadership that actually pays interest to what is ailing the people. How can we, as the leadership, make life simpler and easier and affordable for other people? Therefore, this is not just said by people speaking that this is what I want, but we need demonstrable acts that we can study and see that, yes, you want to buy for leadership, but where else have you demonstrated this servant leadership capacity? Where can we learn from and see your ability to be a good leader? So these are things that we need to actually interrogate when it comes to choosing a leadership that actually cares for its citizenry. They might seem like trivial or very, minute things, but they actually mean a lot when it comes to good leadership. Apart from the manifesto and what the leader is going to do, which is also part of vision. Okay, so coming to my fourth point, you need a leader with vision. Vision helps you articulate the problems of the people and have a plan on how to resolve them. And this plan should have a timeline in how they should be, in a timeline on when they should be resolved, and a plan of how they should be resolved. So a leader with a vision has already, studied and seen the problem that a certain society faces, and then you come up with a set of proposed solutions. These solutions, you need to have a methodology to fix the problems, and therefore the solutions are created as a plan that will be put into action. So this plan needs to have a timeline, and it needs to have an implementation strategy which have all the analysis that are needed to make sure that whatever policies you want to put in place will actually be effective, and there is a practical way that they can be implemented. And any leader with a vision usually has a timeline and plan of action for whatever they want to do for that particular post that they're being elected to. So you're being elected to implement a vision, and your vision should be able to solve the problems that the people are facing. This should have a timeline of which they should be implemented. It should have a plan of action, okay, and it should have an analysis of the benefits, and to what extent is it going to solve the problems of the people that you are vouching for or rooting for. Okay, so we need those things when we're choosing leaders. We need a leader with a vision. We need a leader who obeys the rule of law. We need a leader who values integrity. And then we need a leader who obeys chapter 6 of the Constitution. I can't remember the other one. But when we want leaders who actually will serve us, we need to become intentional. on these things. These are things that we can't just keep saying like it's a passing wind or a passing cloud. No, we actually need to substantiate how we are going to evaluate these things in leaders. We need to have a mechanism that we can evaluate these things practically in all the leaders that we elect into office, so that we do not have issues of character, behavior when these people are already in power, because then it becomes a bit difficult to remove them. So it's upon us to be intentional, it's upon us to do the groundwork, and it's upon us to actually vet our leaders before we elect them into office. Okay, so I do hope that this soundbite has been of help. Probably just my parting shot would be intentional with every leader that you put into power or you put into positions of power, because one wrong mistake will affect your life for the next 5 years, and we have already seen the consequences of not actually doing a background check on the people that we put into power. So that's my parting shot, and I thank you guys again for staying tuned until the end. Like, share and subscribe this channel with everyone that you think will benefit, and I will see you for the next episode. God bless you and God bless Kenya. Cheers.